Hi everyone, this is Randall with Carter Hill Honeybees. Back in about 2009 or 10, in April of one of those years, I caught this swarm of bees with this swarm trap on the side of the building, which is just right outside my office door at the concrete plant I work in. This is located in a gravel pit. I caught several swarms there over the years, but this one had a unique story behind it in that I was able to witness the entire scenario from the scout bees finding it, checking it out and examining it, the whole process all the way to the swarm come. Unfortunately, at that time, all I had was a handheld camera, and this was like a two-story type building, and I was able to run out on the building and make pictures as the swarm come in. Here we see the first two scout bees to find the swarm trap. This whole scenario took 4 days in total from this point till the swarm come and settled on the swarm trap. So this right here is what I saw for a couple of days. A couple, 3 or 4 bees was coming and checking it out. I watched closely. I was in and out the door probably a couple times an hour. Didn't really seem like the number of bees was growing. And then on the day 2, up around mid-morning to lunch, I noticed more and more bee traffic getting in there, and like 15, 20 bees is coming around. And at that point, I could hear some bouncing around in there, so some of the bees is going in there kind of bouncing around, and I'm guessing that they're measuring the volume of that swarm trap. And then on day 3, it just got to be more and more. By the time I left work that afternoon, there was several hundred bees coming there and just bouncing all around in that swarm trap. The closest sound I can tell you that it sounded like would be the sound of microwave popcorn popping in a microwave. It was just hundreds of bees bouncing around in there. It sounded totally chaotic. They was checking every hole around the back of it, the edges, just anywhere they could. You could just tell they was really excited about it. And then on the 4th day, early in the morning, it was kind of the same thing. There wasn't quite as many bees, and then the traffic built up again. And then around 10:30, 11, I noticed just like a complete cutoff near it. It cut down to probably 5 or 10 bees there. I didn't know really what had happened, and I asked myself, well, what's going on here? So the possibilities that come to my mind was perhaps they had found a better site, or this was what I was hoping for. Perhaps they went back to bring the swarm to the trap. About 45 minutes later, I discovered that the majority of those bees had went back to lead the swarm to the trap. I looked out my office window and I could see the swarm coming over the pond. So I grabbed my camera, run out and got over the handrail and got up on that second roof there. And then I made these following pictures that I'm fixing to show you. So after I got in position on the roof, I still had to wait 15 or 20 seconds for them to get there. And at this point, there was a few bees starting to land on the entrance and fan. And I would give anything if I'd had a video camera right here, because this is the most awesome thing I've ever seen in beekeeping in my career. But they just kind of come in there and just hovered, loitered around there, and they just started lighting there. Over the next few shots, you're going to see the amount of bees just gets more and more. And they probably wound up being about 4 pounds of bees, and it was a pretty good sized swarm once I put them in the hive. And here in this shot, you can see that gradually more and more bees is getting in here, and even more is coming right there. Here they're starting to settle in here on top, and a lot more bees are fanning. And I start to back out a little bit as the bulk of the swarm really starts getting in there on top of me. They're even flying in behind me pretty good at this point. And right here, it's just chaos. I mean, just almost blinds the picture at the amount of bees coming there now. At this point right here, they're going circular, almost like water draining in a sink. They're literally going round and round that hole, fanning at the same time, and even more intensity there. But as you can see, the cluster of bees is really starting to gather. And a lot of them just lighting anywhere they can, even though you can't see it. They light out on the rooftop and everything. And I got a little closer here, and you can see still got a pretty neat still shot of that one bee there. And right here is pretty much getting calmed down. Probably 95% of the bees are settled on here right now at this point. This is probably about 10 minutes after they initially come in there. And here's about 45 minutes or an hour later. I come down, went down to the ground level and took this picture. And I saw something here really interesting. At this point, you see a few bees flying around, but But basically what's happening right here is they're cleaning it up in there. Those bees are basically orienting to that location, prepared to go start their foraging flights. So while I was standing here observing this, I noticed a bundle of bees struggling near the hole. That went on for a few seconds. That bundle fell down to the ground, and I bet there was 25, 30 bees on it. And then there was a little scuffle there, and it kind of dismantled, and it was a red wasp. They had literally drug a red wasp out of there. And if you have any experience with these swarm traps, or at least I do, when I hang these out somewhere and no bees go in there, almost all of them are going to have a red wasp nest in them when I take them back down. So I stood there in amazement, and I probably 3 or 4 minutes later, the same thing. Another bundle of bees appeared up there, and over a period of a few seconds, another bundle of bees hit the ground, and it was another red wasp. I had just witnessed those honeybees evict 2 red wasps off their nest out of that swarm trap. And it was probably the size of a $50 when I dumped the bees in the box, because it was still in there. They cut it loose from the top, and it was just laid in there at the bottom. I guess they couldn't get it out. I have 2 nails in the hole, so it was too big for them to get out without chewing it. This was something I had dreamed of seeing my whole beekeeping career, was being at the destination where a swarm would be going to take up its residence. This is a moment in my beekeeping career that I will never forget, and I just wanted to share it best I could, even though I had to do it with a slideshow. I appreciate you joining me for this. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope there's some information here that will be useful for you in your swarm trapping adventures. We'll see you next time.